Did the Democratic Party seriously think they could win back men with lobster rolls and PowerPoint slides about protein powder? Because that's exactly what just happened. And Bill Maher absolutely torched them for it on live TV.
To your point, I want to get to something very important. How many know what SAM stands for? It's a new phrase. It stands for Speaking with American Men, SAM. This is the new movement by the Democratic Party. They lost the men vote a lot last time. So they had a meeting up at the Ritz-Carlton at Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco. I'm not making this up, where they served mini lobster rolls and had heirloom tomato carpaccio and seared sea bass in their conclave to decide how to win back the American man.
No mercy, no hesitation, just straight up verbal arson. Let's be real. In a world where gas is flirting with $5, groceries cost more than rent, and dudes are trying to figure out whether their job is getting automated next week, the last thing anyone asked for was a How to Speak with American Men workshop, hosted at the freaking Ritz-Carlton. You read that right. The party that claims it's for the working class held a luxury retreat with mini lobster rolls and heirloom tomato carpaccio. Because nothing screams, "We get you, bro," like artisanal seafood and a $500 a night ballroom. And then Bill Maher stepped in, not with a gentle critique, but with a flamethrower on national TV. He basically said, "Y'all aren't just out of touch, you've left the entire solar system."
Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
But that was just the appetizer. What he said next had the entire audience gasping and Democrats scrambling. So here's where the whole thing goes from bad idea to accidental comedy special. The Democrats didn't just host a fancy retreat, they gave it an official name, SAM. No, not a person. It stands for Speaking with American Men. I wish I was joking. They literally turned talking to dudes into a branded conference, like it's an HR seminar on how to install feelings in a robot.
Now, look.
It's because we used to have conferences at Harvard to figure out what the working class needs, and so now we're moving west.
You got to own who you are. I get it. These are the mini lobster roll people. But they had this symposium, and we got a hold of what was this is Speaking with American Men. This is a real thing that they're doing, and they have these seminars. Would you like to hear what was some of the? Okay. These are ways that they want to. Seminars that they had to try to win back the typical American male, like how to keep your liberal base while putting guns on your Christmas card. That was one that they wanted to.
And the workshop titles? Oh man. One was How to Keep Your Liberal Base While Putting Guns on Your Christmas Card. Another was Best Protein Powder for a Clean Bulk. At that point, you might as well add Bud Light. When to drink it versus when to shotgun it. Imagine being a laid-off mechanic, opening your phone, and seeing your political party deliver unsolicited gym tips instead of a plan to fix inflation. Maher pounced on it like a lion that's been starving for months. He didn't even ease in. He just straight up laughed and said, "This isn't voter outreach, this is viral TikTok cosplay."
Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
But here's the crazy part. That wasn't even the most ridiculous thing on the agenda. And what came next actually had people questioning if the whole thing was satire. Just when everyone thought the Ritz-Carlton retreat couldn't get any more clueless, the party decided to double down and introduce a Bud Light etiquette segment. Yep, they literally ran a session that's not political strategy. That's a frat orientation. Maher didn't even roast that one. He just stared at the camera like, one of the speakers apparently referred to fishing as a bizarre working-class hobby, as if catching bass instead of playing pickleball is some ancient ritual that needs academic study. You're trying to connect with voters by mocking the things they enjoy? That's not outreach. That's writing your own political obituary. But the moment everyone really felt the sting, that came when Maher stopped joking. and started pointing to the real damage this mindset is causing. At some point, the laughter in the studio turned into silence because Maher dropped the punchlines and went straight for the jugular. He basically said, "This isn't just cringe, it's dangerous." While Democrats are busy Googling how to be relatable to men, regular people are getting crushed by real-world problems. Inflation, rising crime, a border that looks like an open invitation, and an economy held together with duct tape and vibes. And that's when Maher brought up the Texas border district, 85% Latino, that flipped red for the first time in decades. Not because the voters suddenly changed their entire worldview, but because, in their own words, our candidate stopped sounding like our lawyer. Translation: we're citizens. Represent us, not Twitter activists trying to go viral for saying Latinx. And just when the audience thought he was done, he pulled out one more example. A name that used to be on the left side but isn't anymore. And that's where Joe Rogan enters the chat. Maher didn't use him as a cheap punchline, he used him as Exhibit A. Remember, Rogan used to be the left's favorite relatable dude. A mixed martial arts nerd who talked about aliens, smoked weed, and questioned authority. For years, he was practically a walking campaign ad for progressive authenticity. But Maher pointed out the uncomfortable truth. Even Rogan walked away. Why? Because the party that once celebrated unfiltered conversation is now allergic to it. One wrong adjective and you're labeled problematic, canceled, excommunicated, whatever. Meanwhile, Rogan's out there hunting, lifting, and having 3-hour uncensored conversations. And millions of people are eating it up. And if that jab didn't sting hard enough, Maher followed it up with a full-blown identity check, calling out one of the left's biggest stars for turning authenticity into performance art. This is where Maher went from harsh but fair to did he really just say that? He called out something millions have whispered, but few have said publicly. That AOC's Latina identity feels, to many voters, like a costume she puts on when it's politically convenient. And whether that's fair or not doesn't even matter. Because in politics, perception is everything. If people think you're performing instead of living it, they tune out. Simple as that. Maher made it clear. Voters are tired of TikTok speeches about fluid language when their rent just went up again. They don't want salsa-flavored political branding. They want someone who knows what a grocery bill looks like in 2024. But Maher wasn't done. After calling out the personalities, he went after the ideology itself and exposed the one word that's quietly driving voters out of the tent. That word, Latinx. Maher didn't just joke about it, he obliterated it. He pointed out that this trendy academic term isn't just unpopular, it's borderline offensive to the very people it claims to empower. Poll after poll shows that an overwhelming majority of Latino voters hate the word. Even the oldest Latino civil rights group in the country came out publicly against it. And yet, activists keep pushing it like it's the new yes we can. Maher basically said what everyone else was thinking. This isn't inclusion. This is cosplay activism for people who spend too much time on Twitter. Every month, Democrats lose a little more ground, not because voters suddenly love the other side, but because they're tired of being talked down to by people who act like a sociology lecture is a campaign strategy. And then Maher dropped the final hammer, a warning so blunt the studio went dead silent. And here it is, the moment Maher threw the last shovel of dirt on the coffin. He didn't end with a joke. He ended with a mirror and asked the one question Democrats can't escape. Are voters actually abandoning the party? Or has the party abandoned them? Because at this point, it's not just working-class men. It's middle-class families who can't afford groceries, border communities overwhelmed by chaos, even longtime Latino districts that used to vote blue without a second thought. People aren't walking away because they suddenly love the other side. They're walking away because they feel talked down to by a party that's too busy branding itself to actually listen. Mini lobster rolls won't fix inflation. Pronoun debates won't stop fentanyl. And no amount of Bud Light etiquette training is going to convince a regular dude that you actually understand his life.